Japanese totalitarian leader Hideki Tojo was born on December 30th, 1884. His family was inherited of the samurai caste, a military group for medieval and modern Japan, in which he trained to become a soldier like his ancestors. Tojo studied at an army cadet school, and then in 1905, he graduated from the Japanese Military Academy. Later that same year, he was commissioned as second lieutenant for the Imperial Japanese Army. Then, later in the 1940s, he held many positions, including Prime Minister, Home Minister, Foreign Minister, Education Minister, and Minister of Commerce and Industry. Tojo had an exciting personality full of traits. Some of these traits include him being spontaneous and essentially warm. Mostly through his positive side of his personality, he is very heartwarming and wants everyone to be just as happy and excited as he is. However, his negative side caused him to have bad traits, including greed, ruthlessness, and intense loneliness. He was also nicknamed Kamisori, or the Razor, because of his sharp, decisive, and impatient qualities throughout his military career. Hideki Tojo's historical significance was his role as Prime Minister during World War II. He was important because he was a supporter for Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany, and Fascist Italy. Tojo also was responsible for the approval of the surprise attack at Pearl Harbor, which led the US to joining World War II. He was also chief of the General Staff, allowing command of the Japanese Army, which wasn't good enough dictatorship as Joseph Stalin or Adolf Hitler. Everyone faces obstacles in their life, but Hideki Tojo had to overcome many obstacles during his leadership. One included major defeats for Japan as their losses at battles increased during World War II. Also, Tojo faced an obstacle regarding his career, which was during the fall of Saipan due to American bombers, and Tojo was forced to resign as Prime Minister. Shortly after that, he opposed the idea of Japan's surrender after the bombs, which eventually happened, ending World War II. Lastly, he attempted suicide to avoid the consequences after World War II, but that plan backfired when he was recovered and sent to prison for many war crimes he committed, including attacks, opposition, and mistreatment, which also led to his execution. I am determined to offer an apology with my death. This saying by Hideki Tojo exemplifies his leadership style because he is apologizing to all the people and his country for all the mistakes he made during World War II as Prime Minister. He says this phrase just 2 days before Japan's surrender, and that he portrays his death as a way to apologize for the decisions he made during his career, begging forgiveness. This quote also plays a role of foreshadowing to his attempted death after Japan's surrender. Overall, Hideki Tojo's rule and actions were beneficial. One action, the attack of Pearl Harbor, led to the US's entrance and Japan's surrender from the war. Tojo was mostly responsible for the later atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki shortly after the US entered the war. If he didn't plan the attack on Pearl Harbor, then the US wouldn't have entered the war and the Allies wouldn't have won the war. After World War II, Japan was devastated because of damaged large cities, industries, and transportation networks, along with food shortage for several years and US occupying Japan. Despite all of the negative impact during his career, Hideki Tojo symbolized the emerge of Japanese militarism and its narrow point of view of the world. Based on what I know about Hideki Tojo, I'm curious about one thing that I want to know more about. Why did Japan plan the attack of Pearl Harbor? The reasons were based on the motivation that Japan was destined to dominate Eastern Asia and the Pacific area. This was led up from events such as Japan's businesses unable to sell products they owned in the US, not withdrawing money from US banks when the US froze all Japanese assets and accounts, and the ban on oil shipments. The Japanese ambassador held a meeting to find a solution to lift the ban and for Japan, the US, and China to resolve in peace. But that backfired with Japan's motivation for domination.